I just realized that I've made an egregious mistake. This is a failure on my part. That in all the years that I've had this channel, even though I've mentioned it in many of my videos, I've never done a review of my all-time favorite anime ever, School Rumble. And before I get into anything else, let me tell you that if you feel like checking this anime out because you've never seen it before, don't even bother watching my review. Just stop it. Just stop, hit stop. Just press pause, open up another window, go to Funimation.com. You can see the entire series on their channel. You can watch it either dubbed or subbed, and but you have to have an account. But you can sign up for free. You just need to use an email address, and you can get a free account, and you can watch every single episode from the first 2 seasons. And there's a 3rd season technically, but it was only 2 episodes, which I might explain why later in this video. I might not. If you're interested, you can look it up yourself. But anyways, back to the topic. First of all, let me say before I get into this anime itself, this is one of the few animes that I love both the dub and the sub. Usually I only watch sub because half the time when it comes over to dub, you lose a lot of quality. The story changes slightly, and the voice actors don't really bring the characters to life in the same way. And a lot of times, especially with comedy, sometimes just things seem to get lost in translation. Like Japanese puns don't necessarily fit as well into American comedies. And so you see a lot of, now you want to mow the lawn now. First I gotta deal with the train. Now this motherfucker. Anyways, see, whenever I actually want to record a video, there's distractions. Quiet and clear day whenever I don't have the camera on. As soon as I turn the camera on. Anyways, so yeah, this is one of the few things where they did a really amazing job with the dub. It's a very smooth transition. I feel like the story doesn't lose any power. It's just beautiful. It's just the same story, the same comedic value, whether dubbed or sub. And so I feel like pointing that out because that's very rare. I mean, there are some stories where especially when I started watching anime earlier, I prefer to only watch them dubbed because that's what I saw first, and so that's just how I know these characters to be. But ever since I started getting into anime and really getting heavy into it, it's always subs just because the quality never feels quite the same watching it. But this studio, I forget who did it, but bringing it over to America, they did an amazing job with that. This is the best dubbed anime I've ever seen, bar none. But whether dubbed or subbed, let's get into why I love the story. It's a high school comedy. It's like this coming of age, slice of life thing. It's your typical romance where you've got all these high school kids who are in love with all these other high school kids, who are all in love with all these other high school kids, and there's just a lot of oh no, you're misunderstanding the situation, and it's just a lot of that involved. But it's nothing really special. It's a fairly typical high school romantic comedy type anime thing. But oh my god, it's just so funny. It always keeps me cracking up. I mean, they do it very well. It never really gets so mushy that it makes me want to vomit, even though it does have a lot of those cutesy moments. I mean, there's always a crack up right around the corner though. For me, this is definitely high comedic value, and that's why I love it, just because it's always good for a laugh. It never fails to brighten my day. The story centers around 2 main characters, Kenji Haruma and Tenma Skamito, and they're both 2 high school kids who are total dumbasses. It's a wonder they've made it all the way to high school with how poor their grades are. And and most of the story revolves around the fact that Kenji is in love with Tenma, but Tenma is in love with a guy named, holy shit, I forgot his name. Well, she's in love with this other boy who most people don't even pay much attention to because he's just plain Jane kind of boy. He's just he's barely noticeable. If you're not really paying attention, he can kind of get lost. But yeah, and Kurasuma, Kurasuma and Tenma, they're a lot alike. Karasume, he's this badass biker guy. No, he's the school delinquent. He beats up everybody. But he started coming to school and trying to get his act together because for some reason, which ends up getting explained in the story, he fell in love with Tenma, who is the only person in the school even dumber than him, and she's a girl that, she's the one that no one's attracted to because she's really short, she's really ditzy, but not in the good way. She's very clumsy, she doesn't have boobs, she basically just looks she's basically like a 5-year-old compared to the rest of her classmates, both in looks and brains. And so for some reason he fell in love with her, and then for some reason she's in love with this really plain guy that most people won't even notice is in the room half the time. And then they're the main center features of the story, but it's got an incredible cast, like Eri Sawachika. There's Eri, there's Aso and the other guy. That's actually the name of one of the characters, at least in the dub version. I don't know if it's the same thing in the subs, but because like I said, I can watch either or, it makes no difference. Like sometimes I'll just I watch the dub more often just because I don't actually have to sit there reading it. I can just put it on in the background while I'm doing other stuff as well. But yeah, at least in the dub version there's Aso and his best friend, his name is just the other guy. He doesn't even have a name. They only know who he is because he's with Aso. And that's pretty funny. And there's just this wide variety of characters, and they basically just kind of fill up all the typical tropes mostly. You've got there's just a whole lot of just accidental kind of comedy thing where it's like, oh, I meant to send you that love letter, but it ended up in this person's locker or something like that. Tenma sends the guy that she's in love with, she sends him a love letter and forgets to sign her name. Harima sends Tenma a love letter, but he never signed his name. He sent it anonymously, and he also had, at the same time, had accepted a challenge from another big guy at the school to fight, and both of those letters were saying, oh, to meet at 4 o'clock behind the gym. And so now Harima, he's sitting there too afraid to show up because, I think Toji maybe, the bully Toji and Tenma, they're both there waiting for Harima, and he's just like, crap, I can't fight him in front of her, I can't let him see me and know that I wrote this silly little damn poem. Oh god, what do I do? It's a lot of that. It's not too complex an anime where you really have to think about anything. It's just, I don't know, it's just really, really funny, and it's just kind of, honestly, just typical high school dramas type stuff that you see, except they don't really take themselves too seriously. In fact, a lot of times it ends up going way over the top with so much of it, which is part of what makes it amazing. And I also love the opening and ending things to it. They're really fun for the first and second season, and there's just a lot of things. I can't really accurately explain everything that makes this anime great. And the things that I love about it might not necessarily resonate with you. But so I'm going to wrap this up and just say that, hey, it's definitely worth checking it out. Go ahead, and if you've never seen it before, watch a few episodes. And if you have seen it before and you didn't like it, watch it again. There's probably something wrong with you. You missed it. Just go watch it. You'll enjoy it. Am I going to say it's the best anime ever created? No, but it is definitely the one that I have the most fun watching. It is the most enjoyable anime that I have ever seen. It's one that's just really fun, and it's just really great to have on my screen.